Hi, Christina. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining me on Google Hangout. It's going to be a whole lot of fun today.
Well, this is exciting because it's all over the world. It's Perth in Australia and it's Stockholm in Sweden.
It's
That's
amazing. And
cool.
look how beautiful you look as per usual, first thing in the morning. I don't know how you look so beautiful when you get out of bed.
Well, thank you. That's kind because it's like I jumped out of bed. It's 7 o'clock here. What time is it in Perth?
It's 2 p.m.
Yeah, so that's good. You've already had a full day.
Yes, I have half the day. So today is it's really good timing because it's actually International Happiness Day. Did you know that?
I had no idea. Where did you find that out?
I found out from a friend, and I looked on Facebook and Googled it, and it is happiness. It is International Happiness Day. So, isn't that a coincidence that we set this call about shining your light and being happy with who you are? I think that's amazing.
Wow. Well, time to celebrate.
Absolutely. So let's just introduce you and me so that those that are listening and who don't know us can get to know us. I'm Jill Hutchison. I'm here in Perth, Australia, and I have written a book called The Attitude of Gratitude. And when I was in Toronto in February 2012, working at one of Bob Proctor's Matrix events, I met somebody that was going to be my mastermind partner, and that is Christina Skytt from Sweden. Christina's been an executive coach for the last 20 years. She is absolutely amazing. I can say without a shadow of a doubt that she is one of the best coaches I have ever met. And I've been very privileged to call her my mastermind partner for the last 3 years now. I was also lucky enough to celebrate her 50th birthday with her in Mexico at Santa Fe last year. And we have had so much fun. Oh, we've also had time together in South Africa on the African Soul Retreat, which I ran in December 2012. Or 13. So, Christina, it's so good to speak to you, and let's talk about why shining your light is so important.
Brilliant. But before we start, should we just check in if we have people on board, if we have people who are really wanting to participate? I think I saw something, um, at least a few people. I know that other people might be listening in and just sort of sharing and not wanting to participate. But how do we get them on board? Just in case we want.
We can see if their chat message comes up in the window. I'll be watching the group chat and respond.
Okay,
Um,
you're so much more savvy with this. I'm like a newcomer. Very excited newcomer.
I know that some people are watching on YouTube, so they can't respond.
Uh-huh.
But what I might do from time to time is just check my email or check my Facebook. So if there are any comments coming through there, then we can also answer those as we go along. How would that be?
That sounds like a really good idea. So back to shining your light, and thank you very much for that introduction, Jill. And I just have to say the same. You always shine the light, and you are the most amazing accountability partner that I can ever dream of having. 3 years, there's a reason why we stick together. So enough of boosting here right now, but I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, and it's really fun. I've really enjoyed this time that we've had together these last couple of years, and I'm so glad now that we've opened it up to other people to join us to have these conversations because they're so inspiring. They're inspiring to me. They're inspiring to you. I think they lift everybody who listens to it.
Yeah.
So what I thought that we could do today is we'll be together for 45 minutes to an hour, and really just focus on some of the things that we've experienced, because both you and I have had those experiences where we've suddenly realized that we've maybe been dumbing ourselves down or not standing tall enough because we are afraid of what others are going to think, or afraid of intimidating others, really. And what we've really both discovered, I think you and I, is that when we allow our light to shine, other people come forward and their light is shining too. It's a
Yeah.
bit like that poem by Marianne Williamson is in terms of when we allow our own light to shine, then we allow others to shine as well.
Yes. By standing tall and really being ourselves, we can really show ourselves and others, that it's okay to be you. It's okay to be me. And I've had a hard time with this. Even just, the expression standing tall. I'm very tall. I'm 181 centimeters, and I don't even know how much that is in inches for those who don't do metrics. But I'm a really tall woman, and I used to sort of bend my back and try to look smaller. And I'm sure that a lot of people that are, in the same position do the same thing. But my dad always used to knock on my back and go, straighten up. And not until now am I understanding that what he was actually doing was giving me the power to stand up for myself. He never said that, but by showing it, he did it. And I'm really grateful for that now. So let's get more examples. There are so many examples, right? Especially when you and I are coaching people. You have some great examples of when you have been coaching people.
Well, what I've found is I've been doing Tuesday messages, as you know, and you've been doing the 1 minute inspiration with the videos. And some days I don't know what to talk about, so I just say whatever's on my mind. So they're not scripted, they're not planned, they're not programmed, it's not all marketing, it's just me. And what I've noticed, particularly this last month or the beginning of this year, is I have had so many people coming to me that have been watching me for a long time who said, I'm now ready to work with you. And when I've asked them what it is, they've often commented on the videos, the fact that they're authentic, they can see that it's me, they feel like I'm talking directly to them, which I am. I'm talking to you right now. Right. And there's that authenticity and just relaxing. I think by me relaxing into more of who I am, it's allowed other people to come forward and say, I'd like to relax into who I am as well. The other thing that I found...
Yeah, sorry.
So the other thing that I found is Yes, carry on.
No, I'm just thinking about stopping at relaxing into yourself. How did you get there? Because people might think, oh, yeah, well, that's easy to say. How do you relax into yourself? I even have that quote in my book, in Power Goals, and I think it's so brilliant. But how do you get there? It's not just pressing a button and, oh, I'm relaxed into myself.
I kind of think of it, I guess, as flicking the switch more than relaxing in, or flicking the switch to relax in as opposed to pressing a button. Because when we are, I'll give you an example. When we go to networking functions, I think we've all been to networking functions, if we haven't decided what we're there for and if we haven't actually connected to ourselves, then we tend to meet somebody and think, oh, what can I say to them? What can I tell them? Should I be marketing? Should I be selling? Should I be getting them to buy something? Should I be buying their product? There's all this stuff going on. But when we connect to ourselves and actually just say, do you know what? I don't like that networking function, or I don't feel like going here today, or I would rather just spend time with me. It's by spending time with ourselves and also spending time with other people that we really like that there is that kind of relaxing, it's like a, phew, it's okay. I'm going to give you an example. Somebody that's just started coaching with me, we did her profile. Now, she's very successful. She's been doing what she's been doing for the last 20 years here in Perth. And she discovered that her profile, I do the disc profiling, and she's discovered that she is high C, which is compliance, which is dotting the I's, crossing the T's. And she laughed when she saw her profile because she said, my
does she know what a disc profile is? Maybe you need to just share.
Explain. Okay.
Before.
So the disc profiling looks at your different personality profiles, and there's 4 categories. Now, nobody is one category only, but we're all dominant in one particular category, and we may be dominant in 2 or 3 categories. but it gives us an idea of where our personality spreads across. I find it a lot easier than Myers-Briggs. It's a lot easier to understand. It's a lot simpler.
I agree.
But the C that we are focusing on is about dotting the I's, crossing the T's. And when she told me how her pantry looks, which is all the labels are at the front, she can tell exactly if somebody has been in there, all her tins are in the right place, everything has a place, it's immaculate. Even her fridge is immaculate. She can tell if somebody's moved something in her fridge. That is her personality type, is that level of detail. And she said, she almost apologized to me, and she said, I'm kind of a bit anal. I like those details. And I said to her, well, that's perfect, because if she's doing conveyancing, which is settlement. When you buy a property in Australia, then you need to go through a conveyancing person to make sure all the paperwork's done, the money's in the right place, the whatever's due to the council is due. Everything is tied up from the old purchaser to the new purchaser. So you need somebody with a high level of detail. It wouldn't be a good idea to have somebody like me who loves talking and likes talking about big ideas. It wouldn't be a good idea for somebody like me to do that job. But she just said to me, it's such a relief to know that it's okay to be me.
And she only found out that after doing the disc profile and talking to you. Is that correct?
That's right, because she could see everything between what she was doing, how she behaves at home, how her disc profile came across, and talking to me in terms of highlighting a couple of other things. That's when she was able to go, yes, it's so refreshing.
Did she feel that she was in the wrong place before she started talking about this?
I don't think that she was particularly in the wrong place. I think that she was just feeling like she didn't really know what her marketing message was, in terms of what should she be saying when she's at a function or when she's networking, or that elevator speech that most people are banging on about. The elevator speech, for those of you that don't know, is a short little sentence that you can tell somebody what you do that gets them asking questions, and if they're your ideal client, get you actually to talk to them.
And that's really important, that elevator speech really comes from your heart, because people can tell if you're not being honest or being yourself when that comes across, right?
Absolutely.
And I think most of us have, at times, said something that sounds good, but isn't really congruent with who you are. At least I have. I mean, just sort of trying to fit in because it's a totally new setting, and sounds like these people probably need this sort of product. I'll twitch it a bit. I can't be the only one who's done that.
I've certainly done that too, and that's something, I must be honest, the elevator speech is something that I've actually battled with through my business career. But I think it's a struggle when we're in the wrong audience, when we are actually talking to the wrong people that don't get what we actually do. Then we try and change it to language that they actually understand, and that's something that I find is quite a common problem, particularly amongst people who really need to shine their light a bit brighter and really do know exactly what they're talking about. It is tempting to dumb it down a bit.
But that's a key question. Wrong audience? Well, how do you make sure to always be in the right audience? That's a really tough one.
That is, you're right.
I mean, seriously. First of all, you can't really know if you're in the right audience before you enter that room of networking stuff. And then, second, if it really feels like it's not your audience, can you be wrong? Maybe it is your audience. Maybe it's just you who are not shining your light. Maybe it's not you standing up for yourself and sort of walking straight and saying, this is who I am, and then the right people will come to you. There's got to be some people in that room that are actually attracted to you and your message and your business and your everything.
Yeah,
Don't you?
I agree with you, and I think what you said about when you are shining your light and when you're standing tall, you do tend to attract the right people to you. But I think if somebody is showing up continuously with the wrong audience, so for example, they may belong to a particular networking group that meets every week or every month. Do you know when you go to a function and you come away and you feel kind of scratchy compared to those functions that you go to and you come away and you feel, oh, that was so
Energized.
lovely. What's that?
Yeah. No, just totally energized. You're hyped when you leave, and you're like so full of energy.
Yeah, exactly. So the ones that we come away where we're hyped and we're full of energy, those are often the right places for us to hang out. Whereas the places where we come, and I'm not talking about just going once and then feeling a bit scratchy, because that could be the mood, it could be the people that were there, there's all sorts of other factors. But I'm talking about those ones where you go regularly and you start to feel like there's something wrong with you because you're not fitting into this group, when
Oh,
in
I see.
fact maybe it's just not the right place for you. That's more of what I was talking about.
But I'm still not getting it. How do you figure out to go to the right functions? I mean, you just sort of, if you're in business, don't you just sort of try everything to get clients? Or um, is this something that you have to sort of figure out before you go there?
I think it's important to figure out before. I've got a model, ABC model, which is, it starts with the D: decide, connect, believe, act. If we decide what we want first, so I think it's important to decide, right, what do we really want? Do we want to, are we going, let's take networking functions. Are we going networking to get clients? Are we going networking to sell our product? Are we going networking to build connections? Are we going networking to make a difference to other people? Are we going networking to find suppliers or find people that we can buy products from?
So
So
that's decide.
it starts with that deciding, I think. When I first moved to Perth, I was brand new here. I didn't know anybody. So I went to just about every single networking function I could possibly find. Made a decision. I needed to meet as many people as I could possibly meet in Perth. And I didn't know which networking groups were better than any others, so I networked at every single function. I think I collected about 600 or 700 business cards just from that first year.
Yes.
So that my decision at that point was just to network and see as many people as I could possibly do. So for some of my clients that haven't been networking, I've said to them, just go out and go to every single function at least once. And when you come away from that function, then listen to your heart and go, do I feel energized after it, or do I feel like my energy is being sucked out of me because of that? And use that for your decision as to whether you go back to that event the next time.
Yeah. And then we're on to C. So after you have decided,
Yeah. So C is for connect. That is about saying, who do I need to connect to? So for example, if you're looking for customers, first of all, with the customer thing, if it's a brand new business or a brand new venue or a brand new town that you're in, it takes 3 to 6 months to build up the relationships where people actually trust you. So particularly if you've got a big ticket item like, for example, long-term coaching, you don't simply meet somebody and say, hey, I love you. Do you want to work with me? Do you want to spend $10,000 across the year? That is just not going to work. Because there needs to be that know, like, and trust factor. So it's really important to build up relationships at the beginning. But for somebody who's got maybe a really cheap product, or maybe a book, a $20 book, or a $10 product, or a $30 product, there doesn't need to be that level of rapport being built. So you can actually go to a networking function and say, I have this product, would you like to buy it? Because it's not a huge commitment, it's not a huge value item for somebody to have to purchase. It doesn't require that level of relationship building initially. So that's why I think within the C, it's important to just, first of all, at the decide level is to say, what do I want to get out of it? What is an easy way to connect with other people? Then in the C, the connect, it's then to say, who do I want to connect with? Who's my ideal client? Who do I want to network with and say, come, let's talk about it, let's have a coffee, what do you do, how can I help you? But that's quite a big conversation to have just in the first 5 minutes of meeting somebody. So what I find, a lot of people make the mistake.
You're my ideal client.
A lot of people make the mistake. They meet somebody and they kind of want to dive in and solve all their problems. And the person that they've met is going, whoa, I don't even ask you to coach me. I actually have my things together. I don't actually need it. I actually have a coach. I don't need a coach. So within the Connect, if you haven't done a lot of networking, then maybe your intention is just to actually go and see who's out there, what they're doing, what their needs are. So for someone who hasn't defined their marketing message and hasn't actually decided how they're going to shine, or is not sure how they're going to shine, it's really easy just to go out and ask questions and not try and sell anything at all, but just build up the relationships and actually ask the questions, ask them about their products. Ask them questions that's going to allow them to shine. That's what I love doing actually with networking things, is going up to somebody and asking them questions and seeing their eyes start to glow and seeing them sort of getting happier and bigger and feeling like they were, they're really worthy. Sorry, you wanted to say something.
That's the genius about questions, that you can really make people connect with you and shine as you go along just by asking questions, because people love talking about themselves in general.
Yeah.
Most people do.
Absolutely, we all do.
We do too, of course. Once we've decided why we're there at the networking thing, then we connect to get the trust level up and actually listen into their needs. Then we move on to the B. And the B is for?
So the B stands for believe. Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich, which I do a regular workshop on, he talks about whatever we feel, whatever we believe we can do. So whether you believe you're right or you're wrong, you are going to be right or wrong. It's going to come true. So we need to look at the beliefs about ourselves before we step into a room with networking people, with anybody, before we even leave our bedroom even, is to say, what do I need to believe about myself in order to be successful at whatever I'm doing? So this is about saying, I've always believed myself to be, whether it's clumsy or lazy, or there are a lot of negative beliefs we attach to ourselves, but it's actually important to switch it and say, well, I believe I can talk to people. I believe that I can ask them questions. I believe that I can bring out the best in them. I believe I can have a conversation, because then when we step out, we will carry that with us. Whereas if we go, oh, I believe I'm shy, I don't know if I can talk to people, I don't know if they're going to want me, I don't know, then it's just a messy, it's just a horrible, messy place to be there. It's way better to focus on the positive beliefs.
But Jill, that's another part of it too. If you believe that you are shy, and you are maybe a little bit shy, not all the way shy, and you've kept telling yourself this since you were a kid, there are actually ways to turn that around, right? Because affirmations and what you're saying, telling yourself that you can actually change that concept of yourself by affirming, I am so happy and grateful to be a spirited, light, shiny person. That might sound really fake when you start saying that to yourself. But as you go along and as you sort of imprint it into your mind, things will start happening.
Yeah,
and
those affirmations are important.
Yeah, they are. But also, yes, believing that you are the positive person instead of being the negative person, that's very important with what you communicate to the people that you meet. Anyone.
What have you believed about yourself?
Sorry?
What have you believed about yourself?
What have I believed about myself? Oh gosh, I've had tons of stuff coming up. I've really worked hard with my personal development for many, many years. Um, what? Gosh, that's a tough question. Um, I had a pretty good upbringing with parents that did believe in me, but I still had doubts, big doubts about what I was able to do and not do. So I haven't been as strong and tough as I have appeared to be. And that's what I've been working on. And I know that my personal development journey started when I was about 25. I got married really, really young, and I thought that, having been to traveling around the world, been to business school, all these things that went really well for me. And then I got married young, and I really wanted a baby. All of a sudden, it wasn't just pushing that button that I thought it was. So my self-image of becoming this amazing mother was just gone. And I had to work 8 years different ways. We can get into that later, but for a very long time until I eventually finally had my daughter Alexandra. And that was a tough journey. And after that, there was nothing left of the relationship. I got a divorce. It was a whole lot of stuff happening. So now, in retrospect, I am so happy that all that shitty stuff happened to me, because that's what elevated me to get into personal development and learn so much about myself. And again, I'm not saying it was an easy, charmed journey, because it wasn't, and still isn't all the time, because I truly do love personal development. There's so much to dig into. But even though it's tough, it's really rewarding. I think I got off on a tangent, but if we get back to believing, I nowadays think I have a much more sound view of myself, and I'm willing to stand up for myself much better, and not just go along and go, yes, I'll do whatever you tell me. No, I stop for a while, and I actually listen in and say, is this what I want, or is it not? Allowing myself to say yes or no.
Mm.
And hey,
That's really important. Is to decide whether you're going decide what you want, because then it allows you to say yes or no. Whereas if you haven't made a decision, it's very easy just to go, oh, I'll go with that, or yeah, okay, if that's what you want, I'll do it. And that's why I think decision is so important. That first bit.
Yeah, it is. So, and
I just wanted to say something about the beliefs. I remember when you when you were about to launch this book.
Yeah.
And how some of the beliefs came up in terms of the terror barrier just before you launched it. And then after you'd launched it, after you were a bestseller in, 4 countries, America, Canada, US, UK, and India, all of a sudden the beliefs kind of settled down and you actually believed that you were a best-selling author, whereas before that, all the negative beliefs were kind of coming up. Do you remember that?
I was hitting myself so hard. And I don't think I could have done it if I hadn't had you as an accountability partner, because since I could pick up the phone and just go, I can't do this, and nobody's going to want my book, and why am I putting all this effort and energy into it, and nobody's ever going to want to buy it anyway. You were laughing. And my husband was laughing. My husband was really laughing. He was funny, because I would wake up during the night and just go, this is not going to work. Oh, expect turbulence. That's when we least expect it, that's when it comes.
Whenever we're stepping up to a big goal, so whether it's getting out networking with a group we haven't networked before, or whether it's launching a best-selling book, there's going to be turbulence, and there's going to be the beliefs that are going to really jump up and kind of be in your face.
Yeah. I just have to tell you the story because it was funny. You know, that when all my terror barriers, all my stuff about how little I was, how bad I was, everything kept on coming up during the night. So at 4 o'clock, I would be so awake and so panicked. And by the time my husband woke up around 7, and I was really panicked. And I go, oh, this is never going to work. And he just laughed and goes, why don't you just go and look in your book and read it? You know, it's all in there. It's all. I'm like, oh, yeah, that could be. So it's one thing, talking about it, being very sort of sane and structured and organized about how it should be. And then when it actually hits you, it's not that easy to handle.
That's why the action is so important, because even with affirmations, you know, we can say affirmations all day long, but if we don't take the action, then there's this other little voice sitting on our shoulder going, oh, no, you're a liar, we don't believe you. The nice thing with, the good thing with goals, like with your book, even though you were facing up that terror barrier, you'd put enough things in motion, there was already enough action happening that you couldn't get in the way from it actually becoming a success. So no, that's why the action is good.
Yeah, but still, I had put a lot of stuff in motion, and a lot of people would have been very disappointed if I hadn't followed through. But I could still have jumped ship. There were many times that I was about to.
I know.
Yeah, and that, going back to beliefs, you know, my belief about making this so perfect. Well, in the end, I had to let it go before it was 100%. It was maybe 98%. But I kept on. That can also be an excuse for getting it ready. You know, oh, just a little bit more. Just, you know, oh, it's not 100% yet.
Christina, can I remind you, for you, what is 98% could be somebody else's 150%.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. That's not always a good thing. That's putting a lot of stress on myself.
Yeah. And I think that stops people from shining their light, is because they're thinking that they're not 100% yet, or they're thinking whatever they're doing is not 100% yet. And they tend to be fearful of putting it out there or shining their light because of that. So I think that's one of the reasons why people don't shine their light.
Yeah. It would be interesting to hear if somebody else is in the audience, if there's somebody who could give us some examples on this.
Absolutely. Well, if you're watching this, you simply need to move your mouse across the screen, and there's a little blue box at the top that says chat. If you click chat, it opens up a group chat on the right-hand side of your screen, so you can then actually see the comments in there. So I'm going to type a little message here, and I'm not sure if it'll show up in anybody else's chat window, but if it does, then you can just comment there. I did get an SMS from somebody who's watching, just to say well done, which is great. It's good that they. But that's fun. This is our first Google Hangout, so we thought we'd see how it goes. So let's get back.
Even though we're not 100, we're here.
No, we're most definitely not 100 years old, Christina.
No, we're not 100 years old, but we're not 100%.
Do you think I look fabulous for 100?
Oh, definitely. Let me bring you back to, we went through decided, connecting, believing in ourselves, and then we're on to action, right?
Yeah, before we get on to action, let's just talk within the belief. We
Yeah.
also need to look at the beliefs that we have about ourselves, which are called paradigms. So a set of beliefs are called a paradigm. And the paradigms that we have about ourselves are often created under the age of 6. So we've been carrying them with us all our life. Now, the reason why we have so much trauma and fear, doubt, and confusion just before we achieve our goals is because those beliefs are now coming up and starting to go, who are you to be putting out a best-selling book? Who are you to be writing about your thoughts? Who are you to be talking? What do you know anyway? Those are the sort of beliefs that start to come up. So that's where, as you pointed out, having somebody else, an accountability partner or a coach, to actually challenge those beliefs and say, you know what, that just sounds like a belief. It doesn't sound like the truth. It's not the successful person that I know talking. That's just a belief talking. So I thought it's important to cover that before we go into action.
That is. And staying on to that, how do we act on our paradigms? Because they are tough stuff to get around.
They are. They definitely are. I see them a bit like an onion. Some paradigms are quite obvious to us that we need to change them. So it might be a paradigm about money. The ones that most people kind of relate to is having been told that they were maybe clumsy when they were a kid. And somebody will say to me, oh, I'm so clumsy. And when I ask them, when last did you actually drop a cup or drop a glass, they actually can't remember. So even though they're an adult now, they're still believing that they're clumsy, even though they don't drop anything. They've still got this clumsy kind of belief. Those are the outside ones, the ones that are quite easy to deal with. The inside ones are the ones around what we believe about ourselves, what we believe about our faith, our connectedness, what we believe about how we conduct relationships, what we believe about whether we're successful. Those are the more complex ones. And that's where it's really important, I think, to have an outside person. And that's, for me, I've done some work on my own paradigms myself. But when we're in the picture, when we're in the frame, we actually can't see the full picture. And so that's where I find it really useful having you as my mastermind partner to challenge me on some of those beliefs. And also the coaches that I've worked with across, over the number of years, to actually challenge those beliefs and to say, is that a belief you want to hold on to? One of my beliefs that I had to really change is the whole belief of good mothers stay home with children. So that was a belief that I was raised with. I've still got a wonderful mother. She was always around for me. My dad was a farmer. He was often also around for me. So that was a great belief. I really liked that belief. But when I started realizing that it was messing with my ability to have a business and have children and be a great mother, I knew that I had to change it slightly. So I've spent a lot of time just changing it to say, you know what, my business actually makes me a better mother. Me being able to shine my light and live my passion of making a difference to other people, that actually makes me a better mother. Like after this call, when I go and fetch my kids, when they get home, I'm a great mother. But if you had put me in a room and made me do administration and not talk to anybody or clean the house or something like that, I would be irritable, I would be grumpy, and I would be a lousy mother. So
that's really just shining light, yes, and also making sure we worked on this. You guys have no idea how much we worked on this one, but also making a framework for it, so that you're very clear on what hours you're supposed to work with your business and what hours you're supposed to be with your kids. And I think that's brilliant. Because that's also deciding, being very clear that after 3 o'clock, I'm with my kids.
Yeah, that is really important, because when we're trying to do both, I've tried multitasking for many, many years. It doesn't work. It burns us out. It affects our adrenal glands. It affects our cortisol. It really doesn't work for our health. It doesn't work for our business. So that's something I've had to discipline myself into doing, is to say, this is when I'm working, this is when I'm playing.
And this is what I need to learn very much right now, because I'm in the adrenal fatigue loop, still working to get out of it.
I think it's a common thing for people who are driven and who are really passionate about what they do. You try and do too much, and then don't actually allow enough time to build yourself up. And I think shining your light, actually allowing your light to shine, builds and restores the adrenals. And, well, I'm not a doctor, so this is my guess. I feel, from my experience, that when we allow to shine our light, that actually energizes us and allows us to rebuild our health. Whereas it's by trying to kind of dumb yourself down, stoop, not stand tall and shine, that is actually exhausting.
This is a huge one, because this is being yourself, how that affects on so many levels. But we need to, first of all, be brave enough to find out who we are, and then stick to it. Say, yes, hey, I'm cool with this. I like who I am. Getting to that point can be a big leap, but once you're there, it can be really, really good. And also, connecting with ourselves. We didn't really get into it, but I haven't been doing meditations for a long time, but I'm getting into it. It takes some practice, which is kind of scary that it takes practice to be quiet, but it really
Hurry
does.
up. My friend David Mickey has written a book called Hurry Up and Meditate.
That's really it. But that's also, we make a lot of commitment to be with other people, but we don't make that commitment to be with ourselves. At least that's how I have operated my entire life, and I'm 50. My God, I need to take that seriously. That it's okay to be with me, to re-energize, and by doing that, being able to shine my light. I think meditation is a big piece of the puzzle. Deepak Chopra and Oprah have just started a new meditation practice. They only did on Monday, I think, and I'm sure that anyone who wants to can join in. It's really beautiful. They do it together, and it's about 20 minutes every day. It's really lovely.
I think it's really important that being able to just quieten your mind. I see it, connecting with oneself is also allowing you then to connect with spirit or connect with intuition or God or whatever you call it. When we are quiet, we get those messages, the answers that we are seeking, we get them when we're quiet. If we're talking all the time, we can't actually listen. So it's really important to have that quiet time, as you say, that meditation time, just to be really quiet and be cleaning. I think of it as, if you attach a hose pipe to a tap, if that hose pipe is really clean and empty, whatever water is coming in the top of the hose pipe is going to come down at the end. You're going to get the pure water coming out. Whatever's coming through the tap, you're going to get the pure water coming out. Whereas if you drag that hose pipe through the mud, which you can use as a metaphor for emotional stuff and all the dark stuff of life, then if you turn the tap on, you're going to get muddy water coming out the end. So no matter how pure the message is, no matter how pure the water is, it's going to be messy and muddy at the end. And I think connecting to oneself, just being quiet and relaxing into oneself and just sitting there and not allowing all this noise to come in, that is like cleaning out our hose, so that then whatever message is coming from source, whatever message we feel we're getting, we're actually going to get the pure message, as opposed to this jumbled mess of muddy message that can so often come through if we're making ourselves too busy.
So do you give yourself this quiet time?
I certainly do. Some days I'm better at it than others. I tend to kind of go a couple of days going, and then I'll have maybe a whole morning or even a whole day of just journaling, sitting, walking on the beach, swimming. I know you also like your swimming for meditation. I find even just going down, taking the dog for a walk, just being able to be really quiet, that for me is meditative and restoring, and that's important for me. And then just having pockets of prayer time or meditation time throughout the week, I think, is quite important as well. That's what I do. What about you?
I I get up in the morning normally and try to do that every morning, sort of getting it the same time every day. Uh, Unfortunately, I didn't this morning because I was sort of stressed out about this getting online and getting this to work. But most every morning I do that. So,
Yeah.
and just stretching, and it doesn't need to be more than like 5 or 10 minutes, but just something, doing it, and allowing myself to be with myself and not just digging straight into whatever the kids need or whatever my clients need or whoever needs.
Mm. So I think part of shining your light then is actually about also giving yourself permission to put yourself first.
Yes, that's right. And like, we always sort of tend to, or we always, but I have a tendency to always put everybody else before myself. And then somebody said, "Well, are you going to save the child next to you on the plane before you save yourself? Are you going to give yourself oxygen before you give your kid the oxygen?" And my first one would be, yes, of course I'm going to give the kid the oxygen first. But that means I might not be able to because my oxygen might have already run out. So that's what I try to remember, that. Give myself oxygen so that I can give oxygen to others.
So that comes down to paradigms and beliefs in terms of what a good woman should do or what a good person should do in terms of putting others first or putting yourself first. And that's something that I've also really, I think, grappled with. And I think that I've got a lot better now in the more recent years of actually saying, by me putting myself first in terms of what I need, if I know I need quiet time, go and have that rather than do something for the kids or do something in business. That by putting ourselves first, we can then give to others. By if we fill our own glass up, if I have no water in this cup, I can't give it to anybody else. So if my batteries are completely flat, I can't offer anything to anybody else. If I don't have my own oxygen mask on, I can't put on anybody else's. And by filling up our own cup, then we can actually give to others. Whereas if we drain it all the time, there's nothing ready to give. And I think that's a point that a lot of women get to probably between the age of 35 and 55, I think, in that kind of time frame where they've been maybe giving and giving and giving and giving and doing and doing and doing, and then they suddenly realize they've got nothing more to give. And sometimes we need a bit of a shock to wake us up to that, I think.
Yes. But it's not necessary. We can dig into our power goals and challenge ourselves anyway without having to go into that crisis that sort of propels it into.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm thinking, in terms of, so we've covered the beliefs, and then in terms of the action, it's by taking some action that we know whether we've actually, whether our circle is kind of complete. So we decide, we connect, we talk about the beliefs, and then we talk about the action. So for example, if we can go back to your Power Goals. When you launched the Power Goals book, you'd taken the action, moved through, launched the Power Goals book, then you didn't have to use affirmations to tell yourself that you're a best-selling author. You knew it because you'd actually taken the action and you'd got the result.
Yes, that's true. But I think the action part is almost always the toughest part, because that sort of we can think of what we want to do, we can be very clear on the process, but unless we take action, it's just a dream, or a thought. And so many amazing thoughts are being thought all the time. I mean, there are some brilliant people out there, But there are few people that actually do take action all the way on what they
Yeah.
believe and what they want. So
Yeah, you're right.
I think that's like really, really important. I was working with a woman before who was just so spiritual and so brilliant in everything she did. And she would come up with the most amazing programs and thoughts on how to, grow the business, but she would just not ever take off by action.
Mm.
And she's pretty miserable around that still. And she got mad at me for taking action. Uh, but that's just the way it is. If you don't do it, you don't do it.
No, exactly. And that's why I think it's important to take the action, because we get the success or we get a result, and then we can go around and do that decide, connect, believe, action again if we wanted a different result. But if we don't take the action, then we never really know if it's going to work or if it's not going to work.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's wrap it up a little bit because I'm just looking at the time.
Yeah. Okay.
So what do you think is the most important aspects of shining your light? What 3 tips would you give for people who are saying, I actually really want to shine my light, but I don't know how to do it? What tips would you give?
Number 1, connect with who you are. So the meditation part of it, I think, connecting really to the true self. That's one very big. Second, taking the time to be with yourself, so that you can sort of shine your light. It will come through. You don't have to do anything. And then third, standing up for your beliefs. Not giving in because somebody else is saying something that doesn't resonate with you. Don't give in to it. Your beliefs are worthy. You are worthy.
Yeah. What I was thinking when you were saying with the connect to yourself and meditate, I think it's really important to get oneself in a really positive frame of mind before going into that meditation, because whatever thoughts were in your mind before you go into that meditation are going to marinate there. No matter how much we try and push them out, they're kind of there. And if we're in a positive state of mind, we tend to have positive thoughts flowing through while we're quiet. Whereas if we're in a negative state of mind, no matter how much we try and quieten that mind, there are little negative things going, just kind of boring into our thoughts. So I think it's quite important to make sure that there's a positive, maybe a positive ritual or a positive state of mind before actually going into the meditation. The meditation will also build the positivity. But I think it's really important that state of mind before as well. What do you think of that?
Yes, I do. I actually have affirmations that I always give myself before I sit down and quiet myself. And I think that's what you're talking about, because that gives me the positive. I mean, I make sure to make those affirmations really positive.
Yeah.
And it's a good way of putting it, marinating, because that's what they do. So what about you? What are your 3 top things to let your light shine?
My 3 things are really to, first of all, take a deep breath and go, it's okay to be me. It doesn't matter what kind of me it is. It doesn't matter what kind of personality you have. It doesn't matter what traits you have, skills, and so on. And in that deep breath, just know that there's a reason why you're unique, why you have the skills you've got, why you've got the personality you've got. You're perfect even in your imperfections. We are all perfect in our imperfections. And you're beautiful even in your imperfections. And in my imperfections. So that's the first one, is to have that, it's okay, I'm good. That's the first one. The second one is to be honest with yourself and say, you know what, I like to be in front of people, or I don't like to be in front of people. And to let go of any judgment. So there's been a lot of talk about ego, or I've read a lot of things about ego. And at one point I was thinking, well, is it my ego that wants to, speak to people around the world and stand on stages and coach people? Is that my ego? But I've actually realized that by allowing me to share with everybody what I know and to bring out the best in each person, that actually energizes me. And I now believe that that's part of my purpose. So I know that it's not ego. But by lifting the judgment and saying, oh, that could just be ego, or, there could be something wrong with that, that kind of suppressed it. So that's why the second point for me would be to lift any judgment and say, it's okay to be honest, to say what you want. If you're a people person, that's great. Go and mix with people. If you prefer your own company all the time, then that's great. Find something to do that embraces that. If you are anal about the way things are in your pantry, embrace that and use that as an advantage as to why you're doing what you're doing. So I think that that's really important, is to remove the judgment. And number 3. What was that?
Yeah. No, number 3. I was just curious.
So number 3 is to have a constant gratitude journal going. And whether you write in your attitude of gratitude journal, or whether you write on a piece of paper, or on your smartphone or iPad or whatever, it doesn't really matter. But just to constantly remember what you're grateful for, because that then gets us into a positive state of mind. And the thoughts that are marinating around our mind will then be around positive things and everything that we're grateful for, as opposed to what we're not grateful for or what's going wrong. And that energy draws people to you. When you're positive, people want to be around you. And by the way, when you're really positive, you also repel people who don't like that, who are really negative. So it has a double bonus. So that would be my 3. Is number 3 is the gratitude. The Kelly's just said she has to send you a picture of my pantry. Yes, Kelly, you do have to send me a picture of the pantry so we can share it with everybody.
Be grateful there is something in the pantry. That's what I...
Exactly. And I dare not let Kelly see into my pantry, because she would freak out at what it looks like. So yeah, I think it's really important to just have that deep breath and go, it's okay. And number 2 is, yes, there's a good reason why I am the way I am. It's perfect, and lift the judgment. And number 3 is to really focus on what we're grateful for. So I'm grateful to have a great mastermind partner like you, one of the best coaches in the world, Christina Skytt. And also to have the great clients that I work with. I have the most awesome clients that I'm working with at the moment. They are so much fun, and they're stepping out and shining their light, and it's really an honor to be in that place. And I'm also really grateful for technology, that I can talk to you from one side of the world to the other.
It's pretty amazing. Oh, thank you so much, Jill. This has been amazing. You need to show everybody your book. Please do. Turn around and just bring down your attitude of gratitude. I love this book. It's a small book, but gratitude really is the answer to just about everything. That's our conclusion after all these years.
It certainly is. It still amazes me, actually, how powerful it is. Even though I tell people about it and I talk about it and I've written a book about it, when I do really feel that shift every time I do it, it still blows me away. It still amazes me, even though I've been doing it now for about 8 years, writing a gratitude list. It still amazes me. And I have about 4 of these around the house, because I can never find the one that I last wrote in, and I make sure that it's everywhere where I can find one in the bedroom, one in the office, one in the lounge, one in my car, so that I can always write in it.
And the topic of our next Google Hangout. I love this. I hope we can continue doing it.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea, and we'll also wait to see what people say as well. So send your feedback and let us know what you'd like to discuss and what we'd like to talk about. So Christina, thank you so much. What's that?
I was just saying that it would be lovely to bring people in, because I know there's a lot of good stuff going on in people's minds that I would love to hear. Absolutely. So sharing is good.
And we can even maybe open up the line one day and have somebody being coached live by both of us. That would be fun.
Oh yeah, that would be good. We do have some experience.
Yeah. So in order to keep this under an hour, let's finish off now. Thank you, Christina. It's been a pleasure chatting to you, and thank you for everybody that's watching. And we look forward to speaking with you again next week.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.